Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang. It is Women's Only Wednesday. My favourite day of the week is Wednesday because it means we get to see some of the best riders in the country taking on each other once we hit that go, go, go point. But that is all dependent on when the go, go, go is. We have a beast of the course, and the Yellow Beacon, our ride leader in charge of making sure everybody happen, is going to be, as always, Emma. Emma down on the line, as is our Red Beacon. And we can actually see them just down over there already, all getting ready to go. You can just see the beacons floating above the rider's head. And hopefully, if we get this right, on the end of the line, we are going to be able to catch up with our Yellow Beacon. So let's see if we can get straight across to Emma, who's our Yellow Beacon. Hello, Emma.
Good evening, Matt.
Good to be back. We're back on the Donny Chaingang. We're on Women's Only Wednesday, and this promises to be very interesting, partly because of the course and partly because of the course. We've got a lot of different riders just starting to join us as well.
Yeah, so we are on the Climbers Gambit this week, so it is a bit different. Last time out we had a flat race that came into the finish in a bunch sprint. This time we go through the reverse Watopia sprint, we head out to Titans Grove reverse, and then up the Epic Crom in reverse, so it should be about a 20-minute climb to finish.
That's going to be pretty brutal, isn't it? But it is the same format, so we're going to roll out as a group together, and then we're going to be moving on from there up into the sections, of course, where we decide how and when you're going to go. And obviously, only you know when you're going to hit that trigger point and when it's going to go. But we also have a competition tonight as well, because it is the 12 DCGs of Christmas. So we've got to say a massive thank you to Ian Taylor of 1080 and Saddleback, who are associated with the giveaways at the moment, because it's going to be a Silka giveaway of an Impero pocket pump from them, and it's a gorgeous piece of kit. I have actually had hold of one of these myself, and it is rather a nice bit of equipment to stick in your back pocket, and that's going to go out to one of our riders. And what do the riders need to do?
So what the riders need to do, Matt, is when I put ho 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 DCG on the screen, they need to type back with ho 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 DCG and their name, and the first one that pops up on the screen wins. So
the first one that I see, because I'm going to be independent adjudicator, I'll volunteer for that role tonight. And it does mean the first one that goes on the game screen, not necessarily on the companion app, will be the one that we go with. As we always find, it is about being by the Yellow Beacon when that happens is critical, as well as being fast on the finger. So it does encourage people to get nice and close to the beacon. Starting to see a few more people starting to drop in tonight, but I think it's going to be a tough night on the Women's Only Wednesdays. If you doubt, it's follow the instructions and stay with Yellow, and going to be a tough old night, I think, on the group. We can let you head off and keep the instructions going for the team, and hopefully we'll catch up with you somewhere out on the ride.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, great to hear from Emma there out on the ride. We're going to dive across to our map, because the map absolutely critical for everybody. Our riders heading out on the Climbers Gambit, one of our toughest routes that we've used on the Chaingang. 670 metres of climbing, and this is going to be really interesting to see how the road's gone. So the leading is 0k. We head out through the S's and head in a southerly direction through the sprint around the bottom of the original Watopia Islands, and then back up towards the standard KOM. We drop off halfway up and around the loop of the bridge. You can see it up at the top of the screen, and then head left to right across the top and work our way through Titans Grove. The Titans Grove QOM is going to definitely test our riders before they come dropping down through towards the tunnels, and then from the tunnels over and across towards the climb up. We have the steep bridge initially, and then it kicks up on the Epic KOM, and it goes up on the reverse Epic KOM, as you can see our blue dot going up along towards the top. So going to be tough stuff tonight. Our riders lined up and ready to go. 27.9k the route, and got to say it is a tough course. Let's show you that profile because this is key. This is what will show everybody where exactly they're heading out there, because if our riders weren't aware, this is what the profile looks like. A massive thank you to Ben Lowe from fellow viewer. We start off and we have our first little lumps and bumps. The first big steep section comes at 5.25k with the kick up over the top of the standard KOM. We then go from there out towards Titan Grove. You see just gradually increasing in height until we get to that 13k mark, just before 13k. We then drop off the other side to the low point of the course. That comes between 19 and 20k as we go underneath the tunnels. And then it is a steady climb with a series of steps all the way up to that 27.9k marker. Now, looks like the course, this beast of a course, just not tempting everybody, so it's going to be a really select group who are out on the course today, because this is going to be a tough little climb, and I think definitely going to be interesting to see who's able to stay with the pace. Our riders just dropping in, and if we take a look across, you can just see that group heading out now. Our riders with a quite a choice of different bikes out there on the group as we watch them go through. Let's drop in some graphics in just to give you an indication of what we're going to be able to tell our riders are doing. So at the moment you can see over there, that is Emma up on our screen. And with Emma on our screen, if we look up into the top left-hand corner, we can actually see that she has got the watts, the heart rate, and the revs up there at the moment. So 106 watts just ticking along. Plenty of time for our riders to go hard. You can see in the middle of the screen, the messages from Emma appear right across everybody's screen. The rest of the gang get that on the right-hand side. So as they message up, it'll come up on the right-hand side of the screen as they go up and through. Then just taking a look up on to the top of the screen, you can see we've got 20 kilometers per hour, 0.8k the distance traveled so far, 8 meters of ascent, and 1 minute 51 in fact of time going by, and of course that clock ticking on all the way through. The top right hand side of the screen is our map, and we can actually manipulate the map a little bit, so we can go to our 2D version. We can zoom out on the 2D version, and that will take us out, and it will show us all the roads and routes, so give us a much more clear indication of where we are around that circuit. But the favourite one, the 3D version, a bit like most people would have on their sat-nav. Down the right-hand side of the screen, you can see Emma's name currently sitting in second position with the gang. Looks like Julie just ticking along on the front, just drifting off the front a little bit. I'm sure there'll be a big regroup. And behind Joe, Jarvis and co on. So remember, our riders have that competition. The moment that Emma types ho 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 DCG, that is when we will see who's got the fastest finger on the button. And if they type that ho 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 DCG and their name, the first one that we see on the screen will be the one that will be getting that Impero Pocket Pump. £130 worth of pump. As you can imagine, it is going to be a very nice pump indeed for that kind of money, and definitely something to hang on to from the DCG. Remember, of course, prizes coming out all the way through the 12 DCGs of Christmas, courtesy of 1080. So, enough of me. Let's head onto the WOWDCG, and our gang making the way out towards the Climbers Gambit here on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel. So here on the Donny Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne, the Donny Chaingang rides again. It is the WOWDCG Women's Only a Wednesday, and great to see so many of the riders who have started off on the Women's Only Wednesdays making the way on to the Open Chaingang on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. A really big representation now, and that was what we aimed to do when the targets of the DCG was to get people out and on to the Chaingang. Interesting to see. Riders just starting to join the gang on the way through. So Good to have our riders in here. Now we're riding in with our red beacon here. This is Joanne Lejo, and on her very, very first red beacon duty. Thank you very much for doing that. Looks like a serious choice of bike there. Interesting lightweight frame with slightly deeper rims at the moment. And Joanne on our red beacon duties is going to be bringing up the bus, driving the bus at the back, and I understand the bus well stocked as well. The Gruppetto, always the best place to be on the ride. Emma Gilbert ticking away along with Dooley on here. The riders at the back just pushing the way up in to the back of the group. Good to have a big representation from the AEO gang. So it is a short course, but it has a big sting in the tail. You see the Aeonian race team with riders out in force to come and check out this route. Interestingly, we've also got in here Millie Skinner. Millie, a regular winner of the DCG, a rider coached by Donny Cycling. And you can see Millie tucked into this pack as they go up and over the bridge. Just alongside Julie Leodis, and I think that is going to be MacArthur alongside as well. Good to have Becky Porter-James in here. Our riders go in and through, and this time round I don't think anybody bothering to sprint for that sprint line, and I don't blame them. Really straightforward. The sprinting for the green sprint line, definitely not good news when you're going to be putting out some serious watts a little bit later on. Just having a little bit of look. Looks like Laura Lawson not able to multitask at the moment. And Laura, another of the Aeonian riders, tucked in to the group. They've got some good riders. They've got a block of team in there. The chat already on the way round. A quick reminder to everybody that the moment that Emma types those words, DCG, ho, 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 DCG is the words, ho, 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 DCG, from Emma, that is when the first one that we see up on screen will win that £130 pocket pump. Perfect to go in your back pocket when you're out on the road. And we'll have to wait and see when that is. Good to see the team working on. Joan Lee just tucked off the back here, and Joe just keeping an eye on those riders. It's really tricky being a red beacon, actually. It's one of the hardest jobs. Everyone thinks the yellow is hard. I'd agree, it definitely is. But the red, definitely a tough place, because you actually have to be able to keep the pace of the group without losing that group too much, but keeping an eye on where everybody is and not lose anybody off the back of it, which is really tricky, because it can happen at some really weird moments. But this group riding well together. You can see that we've got Sarah Hawkins in this gang as well. Everyone's sitting in here, and at the moment nobody being distanced. We've got Sonia Inslee now. Not to give the game away, but Sonia was actually resting her legs yesterday for today, which is a clear indication she's going to be on it like a demon when he come out and along. But at the moment it is all nicely Gruppo Compacto. The red just keeping an eye on the back of the group, the yellow on the front, and that pace, nice smooth pace out from the word go that is so characteristic of the DCG. So the gang are riding along nice and smoothly. We just keep a check on our yellow beacon, who's currently at 4 kilometres, and looks at the moment. Oh, and wow, that was so quick. I have absolutely no idea who got that one. Absolutely none. We are going to have to play that back. That puts the open Chaingang to shame. Oh my goodness. Indeed. Everybody. That is something else again. I think Ian Taylor from 1080 is going to be having to watch that back with me, along with the team, the entire team from Southern. I cannot describe to you how fast that was. I would never want to be up against this lot in a game of who's got the fastest reactions, because that was incredibly quick indeed. Absolutely loving that. And that is going to go to a replay. We will do that tonight. Well done, Sonnies, for missing that. So tonight's riders, somebody going away with £130 worth of pump. Don't know who it is. I have no. We're going to watch that back. Fortunately, we have the slow motion function, so we actually keep the footage. We actually have a set of the footage being recorded basically on the side. If there was gin, apparently everybody would have been quicker still. I dread to think how much faster that would be, because I was faster than the blink of an eye. Now, everybody else can now chat away amongst the Hearts content. So the pump me, I have no idea who's won it. It will be going to one of our riders, but we will be watching that back in slow motion on the way through. Let's see who's going to go. Now, when we're coming in, this is the first of our climbs. If you remember that course profile, this is the first of the bumps that we go up. And it is quite steep as you come around the corner. At the moment, the gang coming up. Emma, our yellow beacon, hitting the trigger early there as they come up the climb. But everybody sitting pretty much together here. We've got Tracy Seeley just joining from on the DCG. And so Tracy just hopefully going to be joining the gang, hopefully at the right spot. If she should jump in to the middle of the group. Tracy, if you're watching live, which I know you do regularly, jump out, jump back in again. You will find yourself coming back in to the right place with a bit of luck. So Jarvis, the rider we're watching at the moment, our riders are all tucked in and around this group. Just going to keep a check as we come up this slope. It's currently the really nasty bit. This is the 10% section of the climb. It is really, really horrid up here. And we very quickly go in towards a left-hand turn and start to drop down, back down the spiral. At the moment, our riders are looking good as we just watch Joe on the way up here. So Joe Jarvis pushing away nicely up this slope. So it looks like Julie Leodis just having to kick back up through. And Julie hoping to get that bump. So Tracy Seeley clearly with an issue. Tracy, you need to jump out of the event and back in again. You should find yourself jumping in with the gang. If you do, leave the event and jump back in, and you should come back in again. So John Lee, currently our red beacon, just keep an eye on the gang here. So hopefully going to be able to mop up anybody dropped out, but the group are riding well at the moment, and it looks like nicely up over the top here with everybody together. Just Julie there, just a little bit of a push over the top, so we're going to take that left-hand turn and soon going to be on the descent. Let's just follow Joanne down. We're going to drop the camera down the side. So Julie Leodis too busy typing to stay on track, and this is where we get this descent. Now we take the left-hand turn, we go away from the KOM, which is just up to the right, and the gang are dropping down back onto the tarmac once again. And this descent, very quick way to pick up pace. We're going to go down, go round that spiral. So Julie Leodis has just dropped off the back, and now we're going to go back on to the front as well. Having to yo-yo a little bit on the way through. Watch that pace going up, currently at 63 kph, dropping down again. We've got another steep section off the other side of the bridge. You roll in at some serious pace here. You can just see the bunch in front. They're going to start sweeping the way around that bend. Here comes Leodis over the top. Hopefully going to give John Lee a little bit of a toe back on again. Looks like Jarvis did it. And now Tracy Seeley manages to jump into the gang, our group. The gang are going to take the right-hand turn. Here they go. So they're going to go around that right-hand turn here. So it looks like Leodis and Lee. Let's take a little bit of a chat. We're just going to work our way up through this gang and just see if we've managed to pick up Tracy Seeley in the gang. I think we have. So great to have Tracy. She was actually riding in the Chaingang yesterday, and Tracy right in the top three as we went up and over the line on the open Chaingang. Really tough day yesterday on the Chaingang because the gang was out in Richmond and riding really well through Richmond. Absolutely blistering pace, in fact, last night on the Donny Chaingang. but the group are riding well. Now currently heading across the bridge. Now they're going to take the right-hand turn. They're not going to head out into the desert. If you go straight on here, it's going to be tough stuff. Now we're getting word that it looks like it may well be, unconfirmed reports, subject to confirmation, that it may well be Julie Leodis, one of our regular watchers of the Chaingang on the women's Chaingang and rider of the men's. Michael Clark, big supporter of the Donny Chaingang and member of the DCG gang, messaging in. Apart from previously messaging to say give everybody a massive ride on because you're going to need it tonight because it's a big climb, has just messaged in saying it looked like it was Julie Leodis who got that. We'll get that confirmed, but provisionally, and we are getting unconfirmed reports that it is going to be Julie Leodis who has taken that top spot. We'll get that confirmed back. So here we go, the riders on that right-hand turn coming up and going to take the turn very shortly indeed. If we zoom our map out, right-hand turn coming up, takes us into Titans Grove, so no pressure on Julie. That she's now going to ride to the top of the climb. This is going to be a real achievement to get up to the top of the climb tonight, and we're going to see just how our riders get on. Now, good to have a number of the riders. Now, you may see that the AEO, some of the AEO riders have the Chicas beside it, because that is the Aeonian squad actually have an A, B, C, D, and all of them have their own names. So the Bravas, the Chicas, etc. on the way through. So looks like Becky Porter-James already just got a ticket for the bus. Looks like everybody that's got it. Julie Leodis. One of the best things about the women's chair, the banter is very, very strong. And we've got a very strong banter game. Millie's going to keep him very quiet here. She's going to be looking to see if she can take the win at the top, I am sure. But there are some real quick riders in this group, and you can't discount everybody. The Red Bull's apparently making martinis at the back, so we'll see. Group but riding well at the moment now. Joe Jarvis just dropping in to the back of that group. Joe regular on the Chaingang from the word go pretty much, and good to have Joe riding in with the gang, just taking a little subterranean view of the riders that go up and over the top here, and certainly looking nice and smooth at this stage. So now making the way into Titans Grove. This Titans Grove, a real primordial swamp with a junior sequoia forest. It's one of the latest extensions, in fact, into the world of WOWDCG, but one of the favourites regularly used by the pace beacons on Zwift. So if you want to amass points fast, if you don't have enough drops points to pick up the bike that you want, let's see how the riders go when they go up here, because a number of the riders haven't actually got the bike they wanted. Getting your drops points, you have to do more miles. Those drops points are multiplied if you are riding with the beacon. Now looks like Spencer just starting to get distance, just in the red beacon, just taking a little bit of a check back here. So looks like Spencer just a little bit of a drop back on the power here. So he looks like Lee dropping back. You can just see the gap in our red beacon just starting to drop back behind the beacon. They be sitting up now, and looks like the bus will form on the Titans Grove potentially here. So you can see the work done by our red beacon as is how it's done. Our red beacon waits and lets the riders drop. Checks to double check to see that it's not somebody with a power drop up, and then you'll see the riders behind starting to get back. Lee now distance from that main group, but the bus driver aware. We now have our first candidate to go pick up the journeys from the bus. We're going to just take a little bit of a run up the road to our yellow beacon, and we're just going to see if we can catch hold of Emma, potentially in the gap. So John Lee already messaging, hop on the bus, which is exactly what we want to see. That great communication skills. Even more important when we have hundreds of people on the Chaingang than it is today, that red beacon stays with the back of the group, because we can't see the back, otherwise we don't know where the end of the ride is, and we always want to look after everybody. One of the tools for doing that is to be able to know where the back of the ride is. So that red beacon role, vitally important. A massive thank you to everybody who takes on that role and allows us to know exactly where the front and the back of the group are. Now, just keeping the gang now interested in a little bit of a push. So Mickey Porter-James sits on pace of the lumps. So either seems to manage either out the front or out the back. That's really interesting. Now that depends on whether or not you've got the turbo turned up to max. If your turbo is set with maximum gradient on there, 100%, you're probably going to find that you go harder on the steep bumps and not as quick on the downhills. Most people drop that percentage down. So one of the key tips is to drop your percentage down to between 25 and 33% difficulty on the turbo trainer, and then you'll be matching the rest of the group, and you're not likely to find that you yo-yo your way through the group. If you end up going off the front on the steep bits and then drop back on the downhills, probably you're going to find that it's to do with your turbo trainer percentage. I'm going to let somebody else take that message on board. So the watts per kilo on the way up the climb, it's been set as 3 by the yellow beacon. Yellow beacon sitting in here. Seeing Tracy Seeley just squeezing on up to the front there, just wanting to hold around 3. Julie Bratton in here, Joe Jarvis, Billy Skinner. It's like the Boston forming a little further back behind. Just give it a check. Lala Lawson, that is just laziness. Set it to 25 to 33% is what I was saying. I can just see here. It is all about setting that percentage, making sure it matches everyone else. If you have a harder percentage, basically you'll kick into the hills. I do indeed means on Swift settings. So when you go into your Swift settings screen, you'll actually be able to see a number. When you go into that number, you will find it in there. Not only that, you may even be able to show you very quickly exactly what we mean. When you go in here, you can go onto your settings, and you will see that there's a series of screens down here. When you have a turbo connector, which we don't on this one, in that screen, you will find yourself riding with the a setting, and that percentage setting you can adjust. The setting on there is very much personal preference, but key to that setting script is about getting a kick. If you have it set at 100%, when you go on the hill, you will go quicker, because you'll suddenly have that gradient increase much faster, and it is really difficult to get it just right. Now, going currently making the way up that Titan's Grove, hit the QOM on the way up and through. That's not all that long, but this is really going to be interesting. So the gang rolling round. Loving the interesting different. So lots of people like it feel it's go with 50% at its lowest from Laura Lawson. Number of riders say it's cheating if you don't go at 100%. Personally, watts is watts. It's really simple, because you can always change it with your gearing, but it is a massive can of worms. I warn you, if you open this on the Donny Chaingang, I don't say you weren't warned. If anybody ever says this on the Donny Chaingang, there are more opinions on there than anything else. Right, into the climb itself, proper going up to the top of the Titans Grove now. So this is heading up towards the QOM now. QOM is the Titans Grove reversed. Everybody seems to be going along well here. So Joanne Lee just giving a check on where Diane Spencer is, and Joe Lee, our bus driver, just at the rolling in nicely. The gang here just ticking along at 3, just watching Emma go. But Emma, as I said, she was going to be an early candidate for the bus, but looking strong at the moment. Nice revs there. Look at that, 97 revs per minute, 98 revs per minute. Julie, the only saying that she's dead, but okay. I'm not sure that's going to be true. Yeah, generally everyone moves off the front when they're typing because they just push on even harder. Just going to keep an eye on here. Lisa Jane Light, or fall back off the bat. Yep, definitely. That is for sure. Lisa moving her way up here. Let's have a little look. Brandon in here, Hawkins in here, Dooley in here, Millie Skinner's in here, Rourke's in here, Emma, of course, our yellow beacon tapping away in and along. This group working well together at the moment. So on the QOM at the moment. So Monday, well, every extra minute I stick with this group is a bonus. So just a little bit of yo-yoing off the back of the group at the moment. Just going to see if we can pick up who that is. Just yo-yoing away. I think it is Lisa on the back. Or is it Louise? Let's have a little look. Hopefully be able to drop in with them. Let's get some stats up on the screen. So it's actually Louise. My apologies, Louise. It's not Lisa Jane. I saw her out on the screen. So Louise at the moment just yo-yoing at the back of that group. 6 seconds is the gap. And this is where it gets tough because if you're on your own here, this is where it's difficult. And just seeing Louise doing 3 watts per kilo up there. I'm hoping that we're going to see the group in front to pull the let Louise back on, because she's not really dropped behind that 3 watts per kilo. Has now she's gone over the top, but needs to push on. So Louise, if you're watching live, then time to push on now over that ascent over the top of the hill, and you'll find yourself able to stay with the group. And that gap is opening up behind Lee and Spencer, working well. So it looks like Louis got a little bit of a wait for them. She may be able to push into that group at 8.96, but it's very difficult. Once the group goes, the draft on Swift really does take its effect. And you can hear just how quick this group is on the downhill. So the group now descending off the top of the QOM. Let's see if we can dive in live with our yellow beacon, who hopefully is going to be on the end of the line. We'll do that just as soon as we can grab the one and only leader. Emma, how are you doing?
All good here tonight, I think, Matthew.
Indeed, we saw the red bus has already formed nicely and got a couple of riders working together there, which is great to see. But we are just seeing 1 or 2 people on Titans Grove. I think Louise just dropping off the back there, and it shows you, doesn't it? If you're not on the back wheels as you go over the top of the climb, then you can get distance very quickly, can't you?
Oh, in the roller section, yeah, definitely. You know, once the rollers start, you take your eye off the ball for a second and you're not in the group. The second the group goes over, if you're not with them, the pace picks up so fast, it just starts pulling away with the draft.
And you can see the speed here. I mean, we're looking at the screen. It's currently showing you as doing 57 kph. It's absolutely motoring, isn't it? And you carry that pace over the bumps if you've got the draft. If you haven't got the draft, though, it quickly scrubs off, doesn't it?
It does, and at the moment I'm concentrating really hard to stay with this group whilst trying to talk to you, so it's a multi-skilling task, really.
Excellent, excellent. That's what we like to see. Well, I'm sure you're more than capable of it because we've done this chat many times before on the Women's DCG. And I have to say, you've got a lot of your teammates on board. And what's the reason for that?
Well, I have to say, the WTRL announced the next season of the ZRL racing this week. And Climbers Gambit is one of the courses in the next season of racing. So you can only recce it on an event because it's an event-only course. So I think there are a few people having a look tonight and seeing what it's all about.
Definitely, and they're going to make for an interesting race because there's some quick riders in that team of yours, so we're going to see how they get on. And one last thing before we let you go, we have had an unconfirmed report from a big supporter of the women's Chaingang that it was Julie Leodis who was fastest on their screens, but obviously they are watching the feed that comes up on here, so we'll have to double check it on ours. But unconfirmed, Julie Leodis getting that win. That was the speed of reaction was crazy.
I wouldn't want to make that call. That was just amazing. I thought the ladies were quick 2 weeks ago, but my goodness.
It was super fast, super quick. Well, you're just hitting one of these uphill little bumps on the way through here, and the gang's still holding all together as you manage to hold that 3 watts per kilo. And I've got to say, this is one of my favourite little bits of the Chaingang. Is this section when you come through with the gang or on a group ride and you come through Titans Grove, because those roller coasters and the scenery, it keeps it really interesting. It's not like when you do the desert run through, which is where we are tomorrow on the DCG for Tempest Fugit, and all it's about is hanging on the back wheel. At least here there's a bit more scenery to look at.
Yeah, there's a bit more technique, I think, to Swift riding on these courses. You know, last time out on the Greater London Flat, it's about bunch riding and staying in the draft. This adds a little bit more.
It does indeed. It does indeed. And really interesting to see that there are a few shouts out for how long is the climb, how big is the climb, and so on. And members of the DCG gang, of course, get all that up front because as a member of the DCG gang, you get all of the course details, a heads up, the Velo viewer graphics, and all the links to all the stats you could ever need.
Yeah, indeed. And the Swift Insider information and the Velo viewer information, well, if you're like me, you study it a little bit before the ride.
Or if you're like maybe a rider like Neil Mansfield, you spend hours and hours in depth on it, because we know how what Neil, my co-host on the Crosscast, and of course from Gritty, one of our keen supporters of the DCG gang, is like. He's notorious for the amount of time he spends analysing data. But the group, if you analyse this, I think what you would discover is that basically the entire ride riding together really well. And as the pace goes up, it just starts to drift. And I'm loving John Lee and Dan Spencer at the moment, just riding nicely as a group of 2 here. And still that pace working well as they try and keep on there to try and get up to the gang. So it looks like Louise on her own. You guys up the front. 59 seconds just up on Louise at the moment, and that's the difference that's opened since the KO top of the QOM and the drop down. So we're going to let you get back to riding because you're about to come out of the woods. So good stuff.
Thanks.
So we're going to leave Emma to the ride. Just Emma simultaneously answering questions online as well. Quite some skill to do that when you're talking on the Chaingang as well. So looks like the Gremlin's just playing silly what's. It's a little on the way through there for some reason with our screens. Always entertaining when that happens. So the rider's on the way down and about to come out of the ride and head out in towards the edge of the woods. So here we go, out of the turn and now on to this descent. You can see in the distance the hills in the distance. You can see the mountains, and in fact the mountain that you can just see up directly across from the riders is in fact the Epic KOM. And you can just about make out on the very top of the mountain the last run up to the tower. So the big mountain in the centre of your screen, so we don't quite go to the top of it. We go onto that horizontal road that cuts across, and we climb there all the way up from the right-hand side of the screen. So from the right-hand screen, right the way up to the top of the climb. Now our riders at the moment on that drop down, they're on that run down in. So the riders are going to come down here. They're going to then take a left turn again, and they run underneath the tunnels to come in across into the climb and up on to that Epic KOM. And this is definitely going to see who's got the speed, who's got the pace, who is riding well up on the Chaingang. So some great riding so far. Our riders well underway, coming out from Titans Grove in the background. Here on the Women's Only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang, the 12 DCGs of Christmas, and a real mix of terrain on this route as our riders come around. Now going to drop down away from the alley, going to take the right-hand turn, then come in and through. So down into the tunnels they go, then they're going to head out and round towards the Epic KOM reverse. You can actually pretty much see it behind them there. It's going to loop round to get there. Now, looks like Sonia Inslee just tucked on the back of that group as go down into the descent. This group riding well. Julie Bratton on the front of the pack. So John Lee doing an amazing job on the Red Beacon at the moment. Getting some great comments coming in, including spilling the espresso martini. Sounds like I need to be on the bus on the OTE at the moment at the down in the studio. The pack now in those tunnels underneath the run through, and currently just making the way. This group still holding together. They've apparently moved it to 3.5 watts per kilo. Let's drop in the stats at the moment as they come through. Looks like just rolling around at the 3.5 up near the front. Jarvis in here. Just let's take a little bit of a run up. Laura Lawson 2.2. Hawkins sitting at 2. And looks like Julie Bratton looking really strong again. Bratton always running strong in that red and black kit. Then we have that pull in here of the AEO kit. Julie Leodis has been riding really strong. Already done 60 miles out on the roads, but looking like she's riding smoothly at the moment. Nicely tucked into that pack. Sonia Inslee in there as well. Laura Lawson tucked in. Louise just now at 1 minute 40. And riding well, she goes over the top. Then we're going to take a little bit of a check to John Lee. And I think Spencer just coming down that chase behind. We're going to drop back in with Tracy, though, who's right in with the gang as they come around at this turn here. So we've come out from Titans Grove. We're now on the cut across underneath the sea, and this is going to be interesting. Apparently, Julie Leodis feels a bit queasy. Don't feel queasy. Get yourself some OTD. Get fueled up, kiddo. Definitely. So let's see how they're going. Julie Leodis definitely not showing that she looked like she was under pressure there. But this group are riding well at the moment, and just up on this little drag out from underneath the tunnels, and now heading their way up the climb. So we've done the standard KOM with the cut across back down in towards the downtown area. So we've gone around the original S's, over the sprint, round through the Italian villas, up the first part of the standard KOM. We've gone into the Titans Grove, through the sequoia trees, up through the mud flats. We've dropped out at the far side of that climb, dropped down, gone under the tunnels. We've come through onto the dust road. We're soon going to take the left-hand turn. There'll be the seaplane and the flying boat on the right-hand side. And then we come in to the big kicker. That big kicker is the tough section, of course, because once we go in towards the big kicker, it goes up. You can see top right-hand side of your screen, the map showing the T-junction. We're going to take that left-hand turn And as we take that left-hand turn, you will see the island in front of the riders. That is the staging point for the bridge across. So here we go, left-hand turn. The flying boat and the seaplane across, the 8-engine flying boat and the single-engine seaplane in. And you can just see Leo, it's just tucked on the back. Come on, Julie, push into the back of the group here. That's where it's going to be critical. You can just see the gang together in front. You just about make out the zigzag. So Julie Leodis still looks like she's going to bail on us. Come on, Julie, keep pushing. Keep those legs going. You might be paying for it now, but you know what? You'll be absolutely flying later on. Come on, time to push. You'll be glad when you get to the end of the ride. Now, here we go, in with our ride that will lead it in with Emma at the moment. So Julie Leodis is going to see us all next time. It's double day done for her. So on towards the end of the section across from the flying mountain, you can just see the first of the steep sections. We go to the right, to the left, and then up towards the bridge. This is the start of the kick-up. We're not even onto the KOM proper. You can just see, here we go, through the line we go now. So our riders starting, the ascent begins at the base there. The kick comes in already at 8% at the moment, so 3.5 watts per kilo max required at the minute. And going to be interesting to see if everybody can hold that pace nice and steady at the moment. Really tricky to do that as you come up here. It's really critical. As you can see, we come into this right hand side, the outside of the bend here, and you can just see as you come up here on the right hand side, it gives you a slightly better gradient. If you're on the inside, it's even tighter still. And the riders are making the way around. You can quickly see the volcano in the distance. Remember, we've had the volcano KOM before here on. So you just see the statues in the distance of the two cyclists. That's where we were for the standard KOM. And the gaps now start to open. So the bus is going to find a few more to jump in with. We're just going to take a little bit of a jump across. So Louise just making her way in. Then it's going to be, I think we've got a couple of riders just jumped into the gap. I think Porter James in here. So Becky Porter James and Emma Gilbert riding as a duo. Best thing to do, find the rider to ride with. Sit together if you can. Just keep that pace nice and steady. There'll be plenty of time to pull back people if you need to. Porter James just kicking over now as they come up. It's dropping to 7% here. The gradient eases, but, and it is quite a big but, as our riders come up, you can see as we take a little bit of a zoom out, the road coming up in the across from left to right. So we're going to come around that hairpin turn, the yellow beacon up above Emma Gilbert here. So our beacon just coming around that turn. This section at 4% just allows you to a little bit of respite on the way up. Our beacon dragging onwards up towards the bridge, and you can see that big bridge coming out and across. It's like something off one of the national trophies. It's quite a substantial construction. And the go, go, go has gone now. That is very early go, go, go coming from our yellow beacon. We're going to just take a little bit of a run to the front of this group and see what's happening behind. So the go, go, go has gone. Who's got the pace to go early? Who's going to be able to kick their way up here? You can see the groups are going to have to start to form behind. And this is where it really does pay to find a group, find a rider to ride with. So that initial kick now, all of a sudden the leading group is starting to form as they come up onto the bridge. This bridge is not flat. It is a horrid bridge. I hate this bridge, actually, you can tell, because it is a really nasty section. So being led out, so currently Emma Payne, followed by Joe Jarvis, followed by Tracy Seeley. Then going to see Skinner coming up onto the back of the group of four behind. Is Lawson now pushing on here. Joe Lee's just unlocked the Swift Concept bike. Congratulations. It is Tron Bike Day for John Lee. Now Bratton with McCarter behind. And then it's going to be Hawkins and Paul. And guys, get yourselves grouped together. This climb is long. You need some support on the way up there. It's a horrible big old climb. So the congratulations starting to come raining in. We've got Emma Gilbert, Porter James. Then it's going to be Rourke, then Inslee at the moment. Now, got to watch out for Sonia. Usually she knows how to ride this game. She's going to work really well on the way through here. Then it's going to be a Paul MacArthur. Then it's going to be a Bratton. And then it is Skinner and the gang. So it's going to be Skinner, Lawson, Tracy Seeley, Yellow Beacon in there. Joe Jarvis in this pack. 3 Aeonians. There are actually 2 Bolsover riders in here. Tracy Seeley. In the mob here, we've got, of course, Emma, who arrives for the DCG as our leader, rides for Aeonian, her race team, but also rides for Bolsover and Dixie off-road. So round this turn, in the first of these big hairpins come. Now the early go has split the group, and this is where you've got to ride it at the DCG as a gang. Just taking a little bit of a look. 3 riders together here. They will make time. 26 mile an hour is 15 mile an hour, still draft effect. And this course, this reverse KOM, has downhill sections in it as well. And if you get that downhill section correct, if you're in a group, you will pick up a lot of pace. It's worth hanging on for, because the pace pickup is huge on that downhill section. As you go from that downhill section on to the next climb, you carry more pace. It's quicker on the way up. So at the moment, MacArthur and Bratton are in pretty much in no man's land. We're just going to take a look back from Bratton. In fact, you can just see that gang just behind, so a lot of riders almost in touch, just taking a run up the hillside here as Tracy Seeley leads the group up here. Just taking a look back from Tracy, we're just about to come in towards hairpin number 1. Our helicopter just keeping an eye on Seeley at the front here. She's one of the riders who has improved dramatically as we go through, and still seeing Joanne Lee keeping those messages going. Keeping the wheel finish together. And of course, this being the DCG, the Donny Chaingang, we of course make sure we cover absolutely everybody on the way through. So around that first hairpin bend, Seeley still keeping that pace high as they come in. Well, this or the radio tower, what's worse? Becky, my opinion is the radio tower is worse, because you've got to go to the top. This climb takes you and misses out the radio tower. One of the reasons we use it. If we put the radio tower, if we do this the reverse way around, we actually have a version of this wrecked out. And this is a heads up for those people who are likely to ride the Donny Chaingang. There is a reverse version of this that we have wrecked and thought about using. Now, we haven't used it as yet, partly because it takes in that radio tower in the reverse way round, and it is going to be a little bit interesting. If we do choose to use that, that is going to really do some damage to our riders. Now, MacArthur just closing in on Bratton behind. So at the moment, up on the front, we've got Lawson in 1, Skinner in 2. We've got our Beacon, that's Emma, in 3. Tracy Seeley currently in 4 with Joe Jarvis. Now just being distanced a little bit in 5. Then it's going to be Bratton in 6. MacArthur in 7. Inslee in 8. Hawkins in 9. Dooley in 10. Poole in 11th, Rourke in 12th, Paul Sir James in 13th, Gilbert's going to be 14th, then I think it's going to be 15th for Louise as she kicks up this climb towards that bridge, and then our Beacon, our Red Beacon group just behind with Spencer and Lee on to the final climb now. So all of our riders in onto the final climb proper. This is fantastic stuff. So Tracy Seeley now leading this group up here. They've dropped Jarvis for 11 seconds, but there's loads more time but to change all that round as they make the way around and back. So Seeley keeping the pressure on here. This group of 4 riders riding strongly together at the moment. Really interesting. Seeley at the moment, she's currently showing us 50 odd rests per minute. We're going to go across to Skinner. It's a nice 80-year cadence. I think it's Laura Lawson. Yeah, look at Lawson's cadence here. You can just see 106 That is going quicker than our washing machine works at the moment. That is for sure. Just kicking up here. Drop back to 79 out of the saddle now as Lawson tries to keep pace. Seeley setting the tempo up on the front. It's Seeley who is setting the pace at the moment on this lower section of climb. You can see the hairpins top right hand side of your screen here, and you can just see on the top of the map, in fact, that loop that at the top, that's where the radio station is. We're not going all the way up to that radio tower. We come up through the zigzags, and we actually finish just off screen at the moment, so it's not all that far off screen before we hit the top of the turn. So our riders riding well at the moment. The question is, how are they getting on distance-wise? 24.5k covered so far. Remember, this is a 27.9k course, so that means there's only in theory 3.3k to go. How hard could those 3.3k be? I can't imagine that, given that the last 500 meters are pretty much flat. Or 300 meters are flat, 3k of pain left at the moment. So the group of 4 on the way through. Joe Jarvis currently sitting in 5th place. Bratton in 6th place. Looks like Bratton and MacArthur. MacArthur of the AO Chicas, the one of the Seacat teams for the Aeonian squad. Currently on the climb. Darkness looks like it's set, in fact, in Watopia. 50 minutes on the clock. Bratton and MacArthur on this little 8% section. It levels again before on the left-hand turn on this part of the climb. It does make life a little bit more pleasant. Immediately behind then, looks like we've got Dooley in the group. So it's Dooley, Hawkins and Inslee, the 3 riders who are together. And they know that up in front, that yellow beacon on the climb, you can just kind of see it in the right hand side of your screen. It's going to come around very shortly. We'll be able to see it in front of us. So through goes Dooley and Hawkins, that yellow beacon on that same section of road now, so they can see that beacon in front. They know they're not that far behind the beacon. Here comes Hawkins now. Inslee also can see the beacon. They're on that same straight at the moment. Paul just about to turn and round that corner, and that means that about over 50% of the riders on that same straight at the moment, and that yellow pillar of light up in the air, but it is definitely tough stuff up there. Looks like that beacon just started to push on. You can see now we're heading up above the height of the volcano. The volcano climb tough in its own right in the distance behind. Our riders continue to push here. 4 riders left. And that group's gone to 4. Tracy Seeley getting a ride on, and they're graded at 12% on here. And look at Lawson go. All of a sudden, Lawson puts in a little bit of a dig, and they're up to the snow line now. So they're just coming in to the snow line. They are on the northern faces, though, so the snow line extending a little bit lower here in Zwift on the Epic KOM reverse. You just start to see the ski station towers, the ski station towers coming in for the ski lift. Lawson leading on this climb. Skinner continues to sit, biding her time. Seeley now is at the back of this group and losing a little bit of time here. Has to push on. Those numbers need to come up, or Seeley is going to be in trouble. Our helicopter just starting to drop down, trying to pick out the riders in the gloom. Very grey night here that Seeley has made the junction on the way through, and you can see down below that's the Fuego Flats Desert in the background now behind our riders. This leading group with 2 more left-hand turns and 1 more right-hand turn to take them into the finish. It's not that far. If we take a check on the numbers, 25.4. Remember, it is 27.9, so 2.5k to go for the leaders, and looking at a little bit of a push here, I think. Are we going to see our yellow beacon just a distance, making Skinner work here? Skinner's having to respond to this, up at 5.7 watts per kilo just to jump onto the wheel, but Skinner is sat on that wheel. They're going to crest this next little section. It levels off again, and this is what it's all about. It kicks and levels and slight drops on the way through, and this is one of those drops, and the gap just starting to open here, and this is critical. This is a critical spot to get back on again as you come up over the top. Now Seeley and Lawson will have to push to jump back onto the wheels. That gap is going to open, and Seeley has to go. She was giving it some real big licks on the way up here, and she's going to have to carry that pace. 3 riders together as they come up on to the next section of climb here, and Seeley is going to have to kick here. That gap is now at 3 seconds from Lawson on the front, back to Seeley behind. Seeley, who's on the Chaingang. Look at those numbers. She's not kicking out 4 watts per kilo here, and we know she's capable of it. She's pushed that FDP up time and time again, and now Skinner goes on to the front. So Skinner up onto the front. They know that they're down to 3 riders. We've got 1 right turn, 1 left-hand turn. 26k covered for Skinner, 27.9 to go to get to the line from the start. So that means we're into the last 2k at the moment with Skinner on the front. Then it's going to be our yellow beacon tucked in on the wheels. Lawson responding once again here. So it's going to be Lawson responding. Skinner's being made to work for this one because they're sitting on her at the moment. Now Seeley sits behind, and you can just see that gap really has opened up here. And then it's going to be Jarvis. Jarvis about to get that downhill kicker on this long climb here. Bratton just about can see Jarvis in front. Hawkins has got Bratton and Jarvis in the sights. Dooley, you can see all 3 on the way up here. In fact, he's absolutely packed with riders on the hill here. Skinner now coming in to that right-hand turn, and it looks like Skinner is going to be pushed to the line here by our yellow beacon on the climb. Down below, just watching Lawson now at 4 seconds on the climb here. Who can take this? Got to be wondering. Skinner, we know Millie Skinner, absolutely class act. The yellow beacon is going to want to push Skinner all the way into that finish. We've got a left turn, we've got a right turn, left pretty much. You see there's a slight kink on the way through to the line. We basically come around this right-hand turn. We go around the left, it straightens. There's a little chicane that you can see top left-hand side of that map, and then it straightens once again. So our 2 leaders now up at the front. That yellow beacon pushing the rider from the Pro Noctis squad. 2 very lightweight bikes on here. We have the set of Rovals on the front on the bike of our yellow beacon on that Scott Addict. We have that Specialized Tarmac Pro on Skinner's bike with a set of Melanstein lightweight. So really well matched on those 2 bikes. Hardly anything to choose between them. We're talking fractions of a second on this climb. It's going to come down to who's got the speed, who's got the strength. Just coming in to the village here. Emma, I'm not sure how you've got any kind of strength to type. I think you must be crouched and curled upon the keyboards to do that. Now into the final kicker. Don't believe that 300 meters. That is definitely not true. That is right the way to the radio station. We don't do that. We go straight on, and we miss the right-hand turn for the radio station. It's straight on up to that KOM marker. This is going to be incredibly close between our 2 riders. We're riding in with Skinner. It's Millie Skinner in the grey, the Pro Noctis Heidi Kiatson Red Chili rider, with Emma R. Beacon at the moment has managed to make sure everybody's had that workout on the way through. Great job being done by the Beacons. Skinner sitting behind, pushing out those watts, pushing out the numbers here. But when will she pounce? Our yellow beacon doing a great job on the front. Our helicopter just dropping down overhead on the 2 of them. When is she going to go? That gantry is going to come up fairly soon. Just still watching from the side of the chalet at the moment as we come up through. So it's Skinner sitting on the back wheel. Then it's going to be Lawson immediately behind here. And just going to see Lawson coming out from behind those trees. It's Skinner along with the beacon. That is Emma in front, just watching them come out of the trees. It's going to be Lawson, the next rider who appears. Still looking to see where Lawson is, just hopefully just being tracked on the way through here. So Lawson coming past that turning. Meanwhile, Skinner now pushes those numbers up. Response there from Emma B. Hyde. This is the 2 leaders. Lawson literally just behind, but unable to close that gap down. 14 seconds to Lawson, 26 to Tracy Seeley. 1 minute 28 to Jarvis, 1:31 to Bratton, 1:39 to Hawkins. Skinner now continues to push up here, and has she snapped the beacon? This is the chicane. This is the right, the left, then they will straighten up and they'll start to see that beacon in front. It's going to be close because this time is running out. Remember, it's 27.9, 700 metres to hit the top of the Epic KOM. We'll see who's going to put in that fastest time as they come up and through. Remember, it won't necessarily reflect who goes through the line because it's about the fastest time on the Epic KOM board on the left. Our key thing is who's going to be first through. And look at this, 2 power-ups going. They've got the same one as well. It's been neutralised. So the power-up was neutralised there, the aero advantage being used. And I think that's a very suspect place to do it. I would have gone on the level section beyond where it's going to be faster at 15 kph. The drag resistance is minimal. There's no aerodynamic advantage. It's all about going. But I think these two know that they are in trouble. They're right on the top here. There's still nothing to separate. Now Skinner starts to stretch this out. The gap starts to go. Has she got the power to leave? Our yellow beacon behind. Look at the gap. It's opened. And I think the yellow beacon's legs have gone pop here. This is a great ride by Skinner to going clear. They're distanced all but the yellow beacon had been up there with Skinner. They're working together, and then the gap has gone, and now Skinner is going. She pushes in for the line. The gantry, it comes into sight in front, past the ice road turn. And it is going to be Millie Skinner who's going to take this. You can see this is where the gap opens up, and this is where you've got to say 38 kph, 25 miles an hour. Basically, this is the only time you can use those arrows on this climb. But Skinner doesn't need an aero power up. She's got the pace here. The pro notice Heidi Kjellson, the red chili rider, has been so strong on the road. In real life, comes up and through to the gantry. She's going to take this in underneath the gantry. She goes to the top of the Epic KOM. She takes first place. Then it is going to be Emma who's going to come through. Our yellow beacon is going to take second place here. A 2018 for Skinner. And it shows you just how good that prediction was by our yellow beacon. Skinner now onto the 0 watts per kilo. I'm not surprised. So is Emma. Those legs are going to be shot. It's going to be a while before we get anything out of yellow beacon, I think. No, look at this. Still able to type, though. It always makes me marvel how our yellow beacons actually managed that sort of keyboard in the right place so that you can lean on it just about on the way through. So Skinner, then Payne, now comes Lawson. So it's going to be Lawson going to come through. It's going to be a first place for the Pro Notice team, the Aeonian race team, taking second and third place on this climb. Great riding by Lawson as she comes in to the line here. She's going to take third place in and across. You see just how much height we've gained from that sea level down below. We're actually down below sea level as Lawson goes through. Lawson's time, 21:21 as she goes in and through and quickly off the power. Next up will be Tracy Seeley. Seeley also up on to the climb. You can see the radio tower in the distance. And that is even meaning when we go up to the top of that. It has been used. We've tested some routes that you include it. You have been warned. Remember, we do space the mountain climbs out. Next big mountain on the Donny Chaingang is going to be our end of the year on a high, our traditional climb up the Alpe d'Huez. It's going to be up at the end of the year. It's the last Donny Chaingang of the year. Between now and then, lots of great routes coming in as we see Tracy Seeley, a regular rider on both the WOWDCG and the standard DCG coming through, and Tracy doing an amazing job there. 22:03, really fast time on the way up there. Jarvis on that climb. Let's have a little look behind. Can we see? Oh, you can see Bratton behind here, and you can see Hawkins. And they're on the way up. So Tracy Seeley has now just managed to get a feather on the way on the downhill. Absolutely no use on the downhill. It might actually help you on the warm up, on the warm down, Tracy. There's a couple of kicks on the way through. Not where you speed on the way over the top. Look at this battle here between Hawkins and Bratton. This is where Sarah needs to push. Bratton's just in front, and then it's going to be Jarvis in front of them. Now, Jarvis has got enough of the gap, but 5 seconds is not enough. We've seen on this last section, just like you see in things like the Tour de France, that in those last few meters, you can make so much time gains as you come into the finishing a few hundred meters. One rider is really accelerated up now. It is Joe Jarvis now. The Aeonian rider is going to make it 3 out of the top 5 riders from the Aeonian squad as they come in and through. Lots of learning done by our riders, I'm sure, because remember, this is going to be used in the race league in the near future. It is a key stage. So good riding by Joe Jarvis. Joe going up over the top of the climb. And on those final few meters, we'll get to see what that time is. Remember, 2018 for Skinner, a 23:48 for Joe Jarvis as she goes through good riding. Now it's about going all the way to the line. Next up is going to be Julie Bratton. Bratton comes on the way through. Great. There's going to be some personal best times up here. Nobody's going to have got these kind of times up over the top here, that's for sure. So Bratton goes through Julie Bratton with a 24:06. Immediately behind comes Hawkins. Great riding by Hawkins to come in and through the line. Great stuff. It is a hard climb, but it is a great climb and definitely tests our riders. Now, next rider going to be in is going to be Dooley coming in towards the finish. Emma Dooley at the moment. Look at that cadence really working in to get in to the line at the moment. So Dooley pushing hard here. 3.2 watts per kilo, 95 reps per minute coming on to last final push into the line here. Great riding by Dooley as she comes up, and you can just see really covering the ground really quickly here on that run in 5.4. Gets that time down. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 20... Just having a little look. So Dooley goes through, just seeing the screen, 24:51. A good time there by Emma Dooley as well. Now, next up will be Sonia Inslee. Sonia pushing for the finish here on the women's only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang. 9.4. She's got a phenomenal sprint, this woman. This is why you never want to tell her to any line at any point in time as Inslee goes in and through. Great riding by Sonia Inslee. Next up will be McCarter coming in. So Melissa McCarter comes in to the finish here. Great riding by McCarter coming through from the Aeonian Chicas. She comes in with a 25:31. Next up will be our next Aeonian rider, and that is going to be Mandy Poole. Great riding by Mandy. Sonia, read the emails. You remember the DCG gang? You should know where it goes. So, Paul, next rider coming in to the finish, 27.9, the finishing mark. You see those hundreds of meters getting ticked off here. Paul's going to be our next rider in through the finish. So, Mandy Paul did an amazing job here coming in to the finishing line. And in she goes here on the Women's Only Wednesday, live on Down in Cycling YouTube channel. And through goes... Mandy with a 26:18, some phenomenal times going in. The times coming in thick and fast. So on the line we've got Steph Roth, then it's going to be Becky Porter-James, Emma Gilbert, and then it's going to be Louise managing to stay clear of Lee and Spencer. These two riders are now nicely on the way up that climb, and if we zoom out, you can see they've got only a couple more turns to go, 2 more rights, 2 more lefts, and they're going to be in to the finish. We're going to jump back up to Rourke, who's now going to crest the summit here. So in with one of our regular riders, this is Steph Rourke, continuing to push in for the finish here. The speed going to pick up as she hits the top now, and straight on to the castle on the hillside, right for the radio tower. We go straight on. No ice road and 15% at the top today. As Rourke continues on with the reverse epic KOM, and a big push here by Rourke, 6.5 watts per kilo as she kicks out herself 6.87. Getting that power down to get that speed up on this straight section. Another big kick here from Rourke. She's going to come through. She's wanting to minimise that time. Let's see if she's going to set herself an all-time best here today. So Rourke goes through a 27.49, beating that 28-minute mark. Great ride by her here on the hill and quickly off the pedals. So Becky Porter-James on the straight, on the bend, sorry, on the chicane, coming off that chicane and heading in towards that straight section. Climbs a little bit before you go up and over the top behind. Then Emma Gilbert just coming around the turn on the chicane. Louise on the straight before that, and then Art Beacon and Spencer, Lee and Spencer on the climb, still down just below that snow line. They're going to hit that snow as they take the right, so you just see a little bit off towards the right-hand side of the screen. Spencer riding it strongly at the moment. We're going to jump up to Porter-James, who's on her way up towards the level section here. So Becky Porter-James now continues that final push up. It starts to level. You watch me able to see that gradient easing off on the right hand side, 8% down to 7%. It's going to tick away down to 6%, and going through the colours, dropping it in to yellow at 6.5%. Now down to 4%, and this is where you can really start to pick that speed up. Porter-James riding well up onto the climb, and now on that push in to the finish here. So Becky, Emma, Louisa, Joanne, Diana to come in to the finish here today. Becky Porter-James on a good ride here. Now reached the bus, so she'll need a celebratory gin, I would imagine, at the top. Most of the riders wanting to dive into the Gruppetto at the back to grab a drink, but riding so strong that was never going to be an option. Definitely true for Porter-James, who's now on this run in. She's going to come in to the finish here as our camera tracks it in towards the line. So up we go into the air, and you can just see coming in through to the finish of the cloud, just obscuring the view down the mountain. Becky Porter-James in over that epic KOM line, a 30.24 solid ride up the climb. Then you can just see the mountain go on the left-hand side. Just kicking up the mountain go, actually 725 polygons I think it is to go into the animating of the goat. Amazing the facts you find out when you're wrecking out the ride. So Gilbert on the way through, and that last push, Emma continues to get those revs, those 105 revs per minute at the top of the climb when your legs are screaming. 107, that rev really coming up, 182 beats per minute, and this is the kick in to the finish here. So great to see the encouragement coming in. Emma Gilbert goes in and through. It was Porter-James just in front. Emma Gilbert just starting her warm down here up in the mountains of the top of Zwift here. You can see just how fast that pace picks up as Gilbert starts descending off the side of the mountain. So Gilbert on to the descent, and great riding by Emma as she starts to make her way down the mountain side. So we're going to take a drop back into the snow line. You can just see that we're in with Louise, and we're going to try and get across, I think, to see if we can grab hold of our yellow beacon. So hopefully on the end of the line is Emma.
Good evening, Matt.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Yeah? How's the legs after what was a really brutal climb?
The climb was amazing. I'm currently still rolling down the other side, spinning them out at around 1 watt per kilo.
I don't blame you. And it's 3 points, isn't it? That's the thing to remember. Always stay in and use the downhill to the finish. I occasionally think we should make the warm down on this 10k long, just so that you can get right to the bottom and get every point as part of the event.
Yeah, and don't worry, I can still see Tracy and Millie and Laura and Julie. We're all doing the same thing.
Brilliant, excellent. That's what we want to see. And it is a tough climb. I mean, I think it's nice that it doesn't have the radio tower in. I think that would be just demoralising, taking that right-hand turn for the tower. But the final few metres are tough in their own right, that's for sure.
They are, and it's a bit deceptive, isn't it, really? And I should have done a kneel and studied harder, or listened to you when you told me it was flat at the top, because I should have really expected Millie to kick over that top and use the flat.
She did, but I noticed both of you fell for the mistake of putting a power up on the aero on the slowest part of the course. Was that oxygen deprivation or something kicking in?
Yeah, I think it was oxygen deprivation and panic kicking in.
I'm not surprised. I mean, Millie was working hard there and riding strong, but you could just see it was so quick over the top there. And Millie's time, I mean, at 2018, that is right up there with the very best, isn't it?
Oh, it's fabulous. It's a really good... Actually, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I actually enjoyed that climb this evening.
We've got it on record. We're recording it, remember? So I'm going to remind you of that next time we hit something really big, long and horrible, that you actually enjoy climbing up the Epic KOM on Zwift, and it's just the same in real life.
I think it's the rest week I've just come off that made me enjoy it and nothing else.
Well, that's understandable. That wouldn't surprise me. We're watching our riders on the way up, and I have to say, this rider here, which is Joanne, that you can see on your screen right now, amazing job of Red Beacon. I've kept watching the messages of encouragement coming out from her. They're keeping a check, giving support to the riders in front as well. And that's exactly what we want to see. And what a way to debut as a Red Beacon on this climb, which is absolutely brutal. And he's going to really punish riders the moment they lose a gap, or if they're just not on that pace at that wrong moment. And there's lots of wrong moments on this climb. We saw everybody break up as they went up and over the top.
Yeah, Joanne's done a fantastic job today. It's a really difficult course. It's rolling all the way into the big climb at the end, so it's very hard to keep the group together. And she's done exactly what we ask of every Red Beacon. She's been fun, she's been chatty, she's looked after riders. She's been absolutely superb.
Indeed, and you can just see in front, she's just easing off the pedals. Diane just rolling off that bank and now kicking up towards her. And Diane Spencer doing a great ride here today. You can see coming up onto the wheels of Julie. And got to say, the determination of our riders, it is really, really good, isn't it? I mean, it's all very well when you're having a good day and you're fighting for the win, but actually what makes you be able to do that? And we saw a rider like Tracy Seeley, somebody who not all that long ago was struggling to stay with the group. Now she's up there and battling.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? We always say there's something for everybody on the Chaingang, but there's lots of stories as well about people joining the Chaingang, riding it, getting into the group, enjoying the banter, and all of a sudden they find themselves fitter, which is a lovely byproduct of doing something you like of an evening in your garage.
Yeah, it's a random thing that we all have a habit of doing every now and then on the way to the top of some random mountain in the middle of somewhere, like Zwift. And I have to say, when our riders were going up that climb, I saw Tracy Seeley attacking, and I did wonder whether she was going to stay with you to the finish. But when you're up against somebody like Millie Skinner, that's a big ask.
Oh, I think Millie very kindly messaged me at the end and told me she was also close to the limit, but I don't think she really was. I've ridden with Millie before, and she's normally got a lot in the tank.
Well, but you only need somebody to have a not their best day, and all of a sudden that can be reversed and changed around. And you look at the rise that we saw, you know, that it can vary a lot between riders on the day. So great to see that, and great to give Millie a hard workout as well. So it's the old thing, isn't it? If you're hurting, the odds are everybody's hurting.
Well, that's true, but Tracy really did kick at the bottom. My God, if Tracy stays at 5 watts a kilo all the way up here, we're in for trouble.
Well, it was a big kick, but it might have cost her later on. You can see the experienced pro in Millie just sitting there biding her time. And when we say experienced, she's not exactly old, but she's definitely done a lot of racing.
Yeah, she knows how to sit in the pack and take a draft till she needs the power.
And that's one of the things you can see on both the DCG and the WOWDCG. The experienced riders, they don't burn energy needlessly, do they? There's none of this playing silly what sits off the front. There's no being up it. It really is. Sit there, wait, and wait again.
Yeah, and then get a really good 20-minute workout.
Yeah, exactly. Probably set up a PB on the climb and take the front. Once that go is key. But some great riding on here. Our next course, though, isn't quite the same, is it? When we move on from here, we are going to be heading out and looking forward to seeing how our riders do. We've got a real mix of courses as the riders move on from here. And the choice of course is all designed really to give us a real mix of rides on the Chaingang, aren't they? It's not just one thing. It's a real mix of Chaingangs all the way through.
No, that's it. And we really think about different courses for different skills that suit different riders. And like we said, last time round, 2 weeks ago, we were completely flat with a large group coming in for the sprint. Tonight we've had a rolling ride with a large climb at the end. In 2 weeks' time, we're playing crit racing. So we've got a little crit course. So we're going to so something very different again. And then as we move into the new year, we'll start looking at a different suite of courses again with something for everybody. So we'll put something in that'll be nice and flat, and it'll be about drafting and sprinting. We'll put something else in. So we really like to play around with it and make sure there's something for everybody.
Definitely.
But the Tuesdays, I was going to say, Matt, the Tuesdays and Thursdays are always pretty consistent as well, aren't they? With a sometimes climbier course on a Tuesday and a flatter ride on a Thursday.
Yep, definitely. And I think any of our riders who ride the WOWDCG should not worry about going on the Chaingang. It's where a lot of the riders have ended up after riding the WOWDCG. And it makes a huge difference. We're just watching Louise. Great job done by Louise. Just going to watch the time come up on the screen now. So Louise going in and through the line there, and Louise's time up on screen, 36:58. So another fast time there, just ticking inside that minute mark, which is great to see. So Louise now onto that descent, and our riders shouldn't be afraid of going on the DCG. The DCG is there for everybody, and there's a real mix of riders on there as well, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. The Tuesday and Thursday DCG, again, there's something for everybody. The red beacon on a Tuesday and a Thursday sits at exactly the same pace as the red beacon on the women's Wednesday. The group is slightly larger, but the tactics and the play is still the same. You start at 2.5 watts a kilo. It ramps up until the go. You find a group and you cross the line with them. And
although the bigger numbers make that draft effect more prominent, it's got more effect. There are always more riders then to drop back with you. So that does make a huge difference. And our riders generally find somebody to ride with. As you say, Tuesday's generally the hilly one. Thursday's generally a little bit flatter. But not always. We do mix it up as well. And we do try and give a huge variety. Because there are some staple diet stuff. Things like you mentioned earlier on the show, the Greater London Flat. It is a marker. It's a great way to see how the gang is rolling. It's kind of the benchmark of how we're doing. But lots of different routes. We've still got lots more planned. Anybody who follows me on Zwift or on Strava, not everything's logged deliberately for a reason, but every now and then one of our recce routes will slip in on there, so make sure you give us a follow because there will be times when we're out and checking. And in fact, although it's not been publicly let out there, if you are watching this to the end of the show, you're going to get a heads up. 28th of December, some poor fool has had their arm twisted into riding the Chaingang, leading the Chaingang for the very first time on a Boxing Day holiday, and that would be me. So if you want to come and ride, and I'm going to be on the other side of the camera, I'm going to be the one riding, and fingers crossed if we get the tech to all work, then Emma's going to be here instead of me. So we're going to do a little bit of swapping around to bring you the one on that Tuesday, and it's your chance to give me a kick in all the way around France, pretty much.
I think I might have the harder job though, Matt.
Well, I wouldn't dare say that to any of our beacons who've been out and riding, but I have to say I am marginally more confident in my skills at managing 27k on Zwift than letting you loose on the computer when you've had no practice experience or anything. Well, that's not strictly true. We have done quite a lot already, so don't worry, folks. You're going to be in very safe hands. And Emma, of course, co-host already on a number of events on Zwift behind the mic. So quite looking forward to listening to that as I'm riding along. No pressure, Em.
I'm quite happy watching you be yellow beacon for a change. I'm sure Ross, myself, and Jimmy are going to be watching with glee.
Indeed, and we've got to say a massive thank you to Jimmy and the gang, because they really are, and our beacons are amazing, our red beacons as well, doing an amazing job. Just watching here, just seeing Joanne and Diane coming up. They've not got far to go. Remember, they're now less than 1k to go to the line now, and the 1k is not. There's 300 metres of flat on the end of it for a start, which always makes life a bit easier. So 700 metres of climbing at most. So the duo coming up to the top nicely, and I reckon they're going to come. They could just scrape inside that hour and a half marker for the entire ride, which is good going on a course that's got 670 metres of climbing.
Yeah, it would be a great effort, wouldn't it? And like you say, our red beacons do a fantastic job, and it's a lovely community as well.
It is indeed, and that is what we love about the Donny Chaingang all the way through. Just a quick heads up, don't forget, of course, the next Women's Wednesday, as Emma has said, we're in LaGuardia Loop, which is in New York City. It's an interesting loop, and it's not a traditional crit course because it's not pancake flat. It's got a little bit more rolly bumps in there. It's a little bit tougher. Could be interesting how the group stays together, but basically it's a crit course because it's going to be very, very quick, and it's multiple laps rather than this being one long strung out loop. Lots of opportunities to see each other out on that course. Could be really interesting to see that in action, and lots more courses coming up. Tomorrow on the Donny Chaingang, we are going to be across on Tempest Fugit, and Tempest Fugit down still in Watopia, but across on the Desert Flats, and we come in. We basically do that loop 3 times. It's a 16k loop, quite a long ride, 58k, but it's incredibly fast. But it's all about the draft, the complete polar opposite to the snow and ice that we've got today on our KOM. So we're going to let Emma dive off and get that recovery drink, that OTE recovery drink done in preparation for no doubt another training session from Down in Cycling, and we're going to follow our team here, Joanne and Diane, heading into the hill. So thank you very much, Emma. Congratulations on another great WOWDCG.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Matt. And it's great to watch the gals nearly getting towards the line now.
Good stuff. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
So great to catch up with Emma out on the course. We are going to dive in with the squad on the climb here. This is where it all gets a little bit easy. You've got this last little kick. You can see it's 11% at the moment. If we take our drone cam off to the side, you can see, let's get it down low, just how steep this is. It is a horrible, horrible incline as we watch Joe kicking up here. It feels terrible. Fortunately, when you're riding, this is the view you tend to get, which is of the climb in front. The Jersey's just starting to rain down on our riders, in fact, on the way through, which is always a nice feeling. But if we take our camera out and we take it across to the side, you'll see that gradient now eases off to 8%. And you can just see Diane kicking on here, nearly at the very top. If we take a little bit of a look up from Joe, you can see as it goes around this corner, the road is going to open up, and then the top is actually just as the trees go out of sight up and around that left and right hand turn. That's where it starts to finally level off. Diane doing a great job here as well. One of our newer riders on Zwift, on that standard Zwift bike with Zwift wheels. And of course the standard Zwift kit, as all our riders start off And whether you're an experienced rider like Emma, like Russ, like myself, like Jimmy, or whether you are new to Zwift, we all start on this same bike, this same kit, and we steadily amass points. Those points adding up as you make your way around. The drops points are gained by distance and by height, and the effort all adding up to be able to enable you to buy more and more kit and better kit and better bikes, which make life easier, which is at the end of the day what it's all about, making sure that is nice and easy. So the team on the way through, the duo at the back, the bus driver, the driver of the gruppetto today, Johnny, just now into these twists and turns, these slight turns. You can see the rock faces behind of the mountain behind our red beacon at the moment. The snow blowing down off the top here in WOWDCG on Zwift. This fantastic game platform, all part of the Donny Chaingang experience that was kicked off in the very first of the lockdowns, the very start of the global pandemic. Initially brought to you as a little experiment. We thought, oh, we'll get a few riders on there. Little did we know that we'd still be here 18 months plus later, plus a support gang that are absolutely superb. We've got to say a massive thank you to all the members of DCG gang, and if you want to help the chain gang, then don't forget the way to do that is to make sure that you are going to be a member of the DCG gang. So Lee and now Spencer just getting that Titans Grove jersey on the way through. Always nice to get that jersey from the other riders. They make the way up. So John on the climber, Spencer now coming up, and the holder of the Titans Grove jersey as she comes up towards the top. Lee just going to come up to the crest here, our red beacon, about to crest the top. You can see in the background the screen of the screen, the radio tower, and the tower, the very top of this mountain that you can climb at the moment on Zwift on the roads, and definitely tough stuff. Fortunately, we don't go that way. No, we just had insult to some an injury to some very sore legs as Lee up onto the top. Spencer just coming up onto the top of the crest, and now no more steep climbs. The gradient takes off, and it's that run in to the finish time. So great to see our riders here on the WOWDCG on the women's only Wednesday. Donny Chaingang on the push, and the encouragement still coming from Joe, because the finish is at the top. It's all downhill from that gantry. So Joanne Lee coming in to the gantry. Our red beacon doing an amazing job today. Thank you very much to Joanne Lee and all our red beacons who look after those riders at the back. An amazing job done today by Joanne, coming up and through the line, going in and now onto that warm down. You're going to drop across. It is going to be Spencer who's going to be our rider in through. So Diane Spencer doing a great job here today, achieving the summit finish here, taking to the start line and completing the ride on the women's only Wednesdays Donny Chaingang. Amazing to see our riders in and through. And as our riders start that descent and make their way down, only at least for me to say thank you very much for watching the Donny Chaingang live here on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow for the Donny Chaingang in WOWDCG once again for the Tempest Future. Russ the Bear due to lead that ride, and I'll be back on the mic again for that one. So from myself, from Emma, from Joan, thanks to everybody who has been involved in the Donny Chaingang so far. Big thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow for the next Chaingang live on the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel.